Throwing Kids by Erik Linthorst. Mr. Paul taught 6th grade. He had veins on the back of his hands mostly, but also a big one on his arm. When someone did something bad, there would be one on his neck, but only for a while. Every once in a while, he pointed his finger at someone and a vein would appear on his forehead, and I bet that hurt. At least the expression on his face made it look like it hurt. Kids said that he had a temper something fierce, and that kids had been thrown against walls by him. When he would sit in front of the class, I would look up at him and the vein on his arm for some evidence that he threw kids, but I didn't know what to look for. I just thought for sure that if he threw kids, you could tell. But I couldn't tell just by looking at him, so I fancied the stories kids told were just tales. That is why one day, I almost couldn't believe my eyes. Jason Phelan was real trouble. He was smaller and younger than me, but had mean eyes, and his hair was never combed. His face was too small for his head, and his eyes were too small for his face, and they would look at you sharp if you crossed him. He was smaller than me, but harder in his eyes, and so I wouldn't cross him because of those eyes, but also his hair. One day, we were coming in from recess, and I saw Mr. Paul's forehead vein from 15 feet away, so I knew his finger was pointed, and it was right at Jason Phelan. And Jason Phelan threw his little eyes sharp at Mr. Paul, and Mr. Paul grabbed him from under his arms and picked him up over his head, which was a high head, and then swung him around, and Jason Phelan had terror in his eyes, as he surely expected to be thrown against the wall. But Mr. Paul set him down and grabbed one arm and walked with him to the principal's office, and Jason Phelan's messy hair bobbed up and down. I felt exhilarated and terrified that the stories were true. Even though he hadn't thrown him, it was close enough, and boy did Jason Phelan have it coming, and boy did he get it.